When you are constipated, basically, this fecal matter, all the toxin will be reabsorbed into your bloodstream, and that's why people start suffering from blood pressure, high blood pressure, diabetes, cancer, Alzheimer, Parkinson, arthritis, and all the autoimmune diseases where the body destroys itself, like the inflammatory bowel disease, the lupus, the psoriasis, the rheumatoid arthritis, and the list goes on and on. So basically, my point is, less meat you eat, the better your health will be.
Meat, protein, animal-based protein, anything that has eyes, anything that has a nervous system should not be eaten. Two reasons. One is that you think that it's wrong to kill, but second of all, you think that it's really not good for you. And so for those two reasons, you really think people shouldn't eat anything that has eyes or has a nervous system.
The third reason is when you eat, you stop eating meat, you're going to be able to reclaim your health.
Mainstream media wasn't feeding us complete information. It was like partial, and then there are certain topics that get censored. So I've spoken to a few people. They like the guy I was talking to yesterday told me that he was shadow banned for some reason because of the kind of information that he's sharing. So that kind of threw a curveball, and so that's part of the reason why I decided that if I want to learn about something, you can either read the book that somebody wrote, or you can just talk to the expert or somebody that has more knowledge around the subject. Donc, ça fait plaisir de vous recevoir aujourd'hui. Donc, si vous pouvez vous introduire aussi, et puis on peut lancer le show. So, who is Olivier Mankondo, and how did you end up here today? Give us a little bit of background about your story, where you come from, where you were born, and so forth.
Yes, I'm originally from the Democratic Republic of Congo, and I moved to the UK 24 years ago.
Oh, wow.
And basically, it's just before 2016, my health was pretty bad, and I was able to change my lifestyle. I was suffering from lots of chronic diseases, and by just introducing a different lifestyle, I was able to change my life around. I was able to reverse all the chronic diseases that I've had, and I was able to lose 35 kilos as well. So now, for the past 8 years, I've not been sick a single day just because of that, and that's why I'm trying to spread the message to people to let them know that basically we don't have to be sick. We don't have to be sick. This is what the mainstream media has told us, that as you age, you have to be sick and all that. But when you take care really of your health and all that, it's become very difficult to become sick. So basically, that's a little bit of my story.
Okay. Very interesting. That's very interesting. So I'm really talking to a brother. So far, most of the people I've spoken to, I haven't spoken to anybody that's from the continent like myself. So this is really exciting. Je suis très content de vous rencontrer aujourd'hui. Ça fait vraiment plaisir.
Ouais, ça fait très, très plaisir en tout cas.
Oui, le plaisir est partagé. Alors, could you give us like so tell us a little bit. You said you moved to the UK about 24 years ago, and then you said since you started your health journey, you've lost about, did you say 25 or 35 kilograms?
35 kilos.
35 kilos. That in pounds, how many pounds is that? That is
77 pounds.
77 pounds. You have to 2x that. Yeah. 77 pounds. And how long did it take you to lose all of that weight, would you say?
9 months.
Wow. In 9 months?
Yes.
Okay. You have to tell us what you did. So walk us through that experience. Walk us through that transformation journey, how it started. What were you sick? What kind of illnesses or ailments did you have? And how did you become aware of the fact that you could use natural medicine, or your food could be used to heal your body? Walk us through that experience. How exactly did that play out for you?
Yeah, so like I was saying, first of all, when I grew up in Africa, usually I was my life was pretty good in the sense that at that time when I was born, there was no computer games and all these things, so we used to play outside all the time, playing football and all that. And everything was good on the surface, but I used to be sick all the time with malaria, which is, as you should know, a very dangerous disease. Yeah. So I was just suffering from that. And when I was having that, because my mom and dad got divorced when I was 8 years old, so my dad will take me to my mom because my mom was a nurse, so she will treat me and all that. So that's how it was. And I just grew up like that. And because back in Africa, I was not exposed to a lot of processed food, not a lot of animal product and dairy product and stuff like that. So basically, when I was growing up, I was very lean. I had no problem at all. It's only the problem started when I left Congo. I went first to South Africa. I spent a year over there, and I came to the UK. And because I was exposed to lots of foods and stuff like that, so that's why I starting to my weight starting to I starting to put on weight and all that, and I topped up 220 pounds.
Well, stop right there. There's something you just said that's very interesting. So for those of you who don't know, I'm currently on my health journey as well, and my maximum weight was 221 pounds. And right now I'm currently sitting at 187, 188. So I've lost roughly, give or take about 20, 30 pounds or so.
Okay.
Yeah. So I just wanted to, because that specific number 220, it kind of rung a bell, because that was my top weight as well, and I'm just 5'9". So but carry on.
So because of that, at that time my eating habit was very bad. I was eating maybe until midnight. I will have my bottle of Coca-Cola with some biscuits, some cakes and stuff like that. And and I was always tired. So I even remember the last place where I was working. I was working in the basement, so I had to climb the stairs all the time. So I was always out of breath. And basically, I was suffering from high blood pressure. And people should know that high blood pressure is a very dangerous disease, because 50% of heart attack and strokes are created by high blood pressure. And I even remember I spent a day and a half in hospital because my blood pressure went through the roof.
Whoa.
And as well, I was suffering from headaches. Every day or every other day, I had to have massive headaches. And in fact, I had to have some painkillers in my wallet all the time because the pain was unbearable.
Wow.
I had dandruff, chest pain, back pain, abscesses, and a lot of dental problems because, with my bad eating habit, I was eating lots of sugary stuff and all that. So basically, every 2 to 3 months, I had to see the dentist. So that was the way it was. And I was suffering from heartburn as well. And especially when I was...
How long ago was this happening? Is it like 5 years ago, 10 years ago?
It was in 2016. So before 2016.
About 9 years ago. Okay.
Yes.
8, 9 years ago.
Yes. So it's 8 years ago. So because of all that, and one day, basically what was happening, I was not feeling well. I was really, really not well. And all this was, I was starting to ask myself, what can I do? And I even remember I went to the doctors, and the doctor told me that I'll be on medication for the rest of my life. But at that time, even though I didn't know what I know now, but I said to the doctor, no, I can't go on medication for the rest of my life. I don't want that. And he told me, okay, what are you going to do? I said, okay, I'm going to do sport. So I joined a karate club, and I trained for 4 years. There was still no changes. My blood pressure was still high. And then one day, just out of the blue, I was just watching a program on YouTube, and there was an Indian yogi who suggested that by stopping eating animal products or meat and all these things, it was possible to reverse 70% of the chronic diseases. And because at that time my health was already bad, I said to myself, okay, I'm just going to do that, because I trusted that guy very much. And then it was on a Wednesday that I watched that program. On Thursday, I went to work. When I came back, I had my last meal of meat. And on Friday, I went cold turkey. And basically what happened is that on the following week, my symptoms got worse. So for 3 days, I had massive headaches that I've never had in my entire life. I started to have more cold sore, more abscesses. And at that time, my wife even asked me to stop. But I was so determined, I said, no, I'm going to continue with that. And
so when you started this, so the last day you ate meat, you stopped eating meat and you basically started like a vegetarian diet. For that first week, your symptoms spiked instead of going down.
Yes,
so it got
yes.
worse at first. Okay.
Yes. Yeah, and why is that? It's because what people need to understand is that this is called the detox symptoms. So basically, the way your body heals itself, it's by making you, by getting all the toxins out of your system. And when the body does that, you will have lots of negative side effects.
That process causes some inflammation before.
Yes. Okay. Yes, exactly. And then after a week, all the symptoms just disappeared. And by 1 week, I already lost 11 pounds. And 4 months into my transformation, I went back to the doctor. The same doctor who told me that I would be on medication for the rest of my life. My blood pressure was completely gone. And all the chronic diseases that I've had completely gone.
Just gone.
Yeah.
All of that. So the one thing you changed, so you stopped eating animal products. That would be meat, fish, cheese, dairy products. So you just cut all of that out like that.
Yes.
Okay.
And most processed food as well. So basically what I was eating is, I was eating fruit, vegetables, legumes, grain, nuts, and seeds. And that's what I did. And I was able to reverse all my chronic diseases. And like I was just saying, for the past 8 years, I've not been sick a single day. And for 9 years, I've not taken even a single day.
Let me ask you this. So prior to you doing this transformation, in your diagnosis, do you have any type of diabetic issues? Was your blood sugar low? Do you have insulin issues, type 1, type 2? Or was it really just different kinds of inflammation, but diabetes was never a problem whenever you were unhealthy? Did you have any issues with diabetes, or that wasn't part of your ailment?
Yes, I was on the borderline because when you are
your A1C, was it like above 5.3, or was it right like it was close?
It was very close.
It was close. Very okay, close. You were kind of trending in that direction.
Yes,
you were getting there.
Yes. I was trending in that direction because for example, my brother was already pre-diabetic. So I was just going in that direction as well. Yeah. So I was able to reverse all the chronic diseases that I've had. And basically, I was able to lose, like I said, 77 pounds in the course of
9 months.
All these years. Yeah, 9 months, wow. Yes.
That is insane. I have some, I tend to gravitate towards natural medicine because that's something I saw my mother doing growing up. Even to this day, when something is wrong with me, my first instinct is to either look for a herb or figure out if I can start eating something, or I can take something out of my diet to fix that problem. I tend not to go to, I want to take this pill, I want to take Tylenol, I want to take paracetamol. No, I tend not to do that. And maybe that's just because of how I was brought up. But I just want to say, I think I agree with you that your food is supposed to be your medicine. Because if you think about it, the animals in the forest don't have hospitals, right? And they do get sick. They do have injuries. They do run into all these issues. So how do you think, they manage to survive? Some animals have all kinds of diseases. If you speak to a zoologist or anybody that takes up animals, they're going to tell you like animals suffer from most of the ailments that we do. Now think about the fact that they're in the forest and they have no doctors. How do they survive? They probably, it's probably what they eat. That makes sense. How they live, they move. They don't sit on the couch every day. They eat different kinds of fruits. They eat different kinds of vegetables. Some of them are carnivores, omnivores. They eat meat. Some of them don't eat meat. And so that goes to say that what you eat, your food, quite literally should be your medicine, right? So you shouldn't have to eat and then look for something else to cure yourself. That should be the one thing where if you eat right, you shouldn't need the other thing. The other, granted, if you break your leg, you might need surgery. If you be in a car wreck, you might need surgery. But like physiologically, if you eat the right kinds of foods, that might help you. Now, the one thing that I want to call out here is that I've observed something, right? So Caucasians tend to do better when they eat just meat. I don't know why that is, but that's like a general observation. And I feel as though depending on your physiology, because everybody is different. Some people do well on animal-free diet, dairy-free diet. Some other people don't do so well, and there's people that they will swear and die by just steak. That's all they eat. If they eat anything else, they start getting the kind of ailments you do. And I've seen like cases like there's people out there that will tell you that I had all kinds of issues. The moment I decided just to eat meat, that's all they eat, it got better. But there's people like you that say the moment I decided to take meat out, my health got better. And I actually have there's this book here. I don't know if you're familiar with this book. It's Dr. Sebi's book, The Alkaline.
Yes, yeah, I've read that book as well.
Oh, you read that book? So I read this book about 2-3 years ago. That's when I first became aware of it, because I had issues myself and I was trying to figure out some answers. And I realized that, I think this kind of goes back all the way to your DNA, depending on the nature, on your true nature, the kinds of food that allow you to thrive may vary. But it's also true that, generally speaking, for people that are African born, we do better when we eat, veggies. Now, the kind of vegetable might change from one country to another. Like in Cameroon, we have certain vegetables that maybe people from Ivory Coast don't eat. And the vegetables vary. But I think it's like a mixture of healthy vegetables and a little bit of protein. Now, what is your take on this? Do you think that there is a one size fits all? So do you think everybody needs to be on, say, an animal-free diet, or do you think that different people, depending on their body, depending on their DNA, might work with different kinds of foods, including animal foods?
Yeah, thanks for the question. Well, if we have to go back and look at animals in the forest, because for me, I think that when you look at these animals in the forest, they've still got the wisdom that God has put in them. But when you look at animals which live with people, with us, our pets, they are just as sick as us, because they don't eat the food biologically designed for the mechanisms.
That makes sense. Yeah, that's right.
Yes. And when you look at animals, you will see that all of them, they've got a specific diet. There's not, for example, a lion cannot say, oh, no, I don't like this kind of meat, I will eat a different one. They don't say things like that. They all eat the same food. And I would imagine that for us human beings as well, it should be the same. We should have one specific diet. And the way that people say that, they've stopped, they eat everything and they only eat meat and they get better. Why is that? What's the reason? It's because when you eat meat, you eat processed food, you eat dairy product. Okay, these three kind of food. If you leave out the dairy product, you leave out the processed food, yes, you will get better. Your health will get better, even if you continue to eat meat. But it's because you've taken out all this group of bad food.
So the problem
your
is
health
kind
will
of
get better.
dairy/processed food. You think that's where the problem. That's the problem. That's the problem type of foods. Dairy and processed foods is what represents like the problematic foods that we have in our society.
No, I think even the meat. So, for example, let's say you've got the processed food, you've got the dairy product, and you've got the meat. If, for example, you continue to eat meat and dairy product, and you leave out the processed food, your health will get better. If, for example, you leave out the meat, you leave out the meat, you continue to eat processed food and dairy product, your health will get better, because you've left out something which is bad. You see, that's the reason. Okay. But when you look at these people who only eat meat, after maybe a few months, a few years, you will see that the health will start deteriorating
again.
Because you will see that if you look, for example, at the arteries, you will start seeing that it started to shrink. They're starting to have problems with their heart, their cardiovascular diseases. But as soon as they start, because they leave out the bad food, yes, the health will get better for a certain period of time. That's what people don't understand. They think that, I've left out, I'm continuing to eat meat, that's why my health is get better. No, it's because of what you've leave out. That's the key. Okay. But I really think that we, like animals, we should have a specific diet for our system. It's like, for example, if you look at the gorilla, with whom we share 99% of the same DNA. which means that we've got practically the same digestive system. But I don't know if you are aware of the fact that gorillas do not eat meat. They only eat fruit,
exactly.
vegetables, and
That's something that comes up a lot in this conversation. Gorillas don't eat meat, and they are so strong and so healthy. I wonder why.
Exactly, because we've been told that no, we can only have the protein from the meat. But the gorilla, they do not eat meat. They are very strong. Where do they get the protein from? From the fruit, the vegetable, and stuff like that. And even when you look at...
So, okay, let me put the question to you. How exactly do gorillas get their protein? Do we know?
The gorilla get their protein from the fruits that they eat, fruit, vegetables, and the tender roots. That's where they get the protein from.
So those things contain protein as well?
Yes, exactly. For example, you look at the giraffe or the elephant or the cows. They don't eat meat. Where do they get the protein from? From the grass that they eat.
Yeah, that's right. What am I saying? Yeah, that's right.
And even when you look at the carnivores who are designed to eat meat, but I don't know if you're aware of the fact that lions, tigers, they don't eat meat every day. They will eat meat today. They will stay hungry for maybe 3-4 days, even a week, and then they will have the next kill. But for us human beings, we are not designed to eat meat, but at every single meal, we have to eat some kind of meat product.
Because it tastes good, because meat is good, man.
Yes, it tastes good, but that's what gives you a lot of diseases. We are not designed to eat meat.
What about eggs? Are eggs bad for you as well?
Yeah, I don't eat eggs because eggs are full of cholesterol. Lots of cholesterol in eggs. So when you eat eggs, it's going to clog up your arteries, and this will be a recipe for heart disease, heart attacks, strokes, and stuff like that.
It doesn't matter how you cook the egg; it's still gonna.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because in eggs, they've got too much cholesterol in eggs.
Okay, yeah. That's very interesting. So in your view, what should a correct diet constitute in your personal opinion? If they were to say, okay, Oliver, we want you to design the perfect diet for human beings, what does that look like?
So if you want to design a diet like that, basically, first of all, you don't eat anything that have got eyes. Anything that has got eyes, you don't eat that.
That includes basically everything, except.
Yes.
Wait, do snails have eyes?
Yes.
So you don't eat snails?
But no, I don't eat no insect that I eat. I've stopped everything because in my mind I think that insect they want to live, and basically in the Bible it is said you shall not kill. People think that it's only human, but you don't have to kill any animals because
what about plants? Plants are also alive. Don't you have to kill plants to eat them?
There's a big difference because when you look at animals, they've got a nervous system. They can register pain, but plants, they don't have a nervous system. And when you look, for example, at fruit, when the fruit is the fruit is for example, green, when it becomes ripe, it has achieved its purpose. And this needs to be eaten. When you eat that, you throw the seed. It is going to be able to multiply. You will have another tree. So basically, the fruit and the vegetables are there for us to eat them. That's how we can spread the seeds and stuff like that. But they don't have the point is they don't have a nervous system to register pain.
Okay, I've never thought about whether or not plants have a nervous system, but I know for a fact that plants are alive. They are not dead because they are living, right?
Exactly. Yes.
And so that's my metric. So if the rule is you cannot kill anything, then that basically means you cannot survive because life begets life. You cannot. If you are a living organism, you need some type of. You need calories. You need biomass in order to sustain yourself, right? Okay, if we say, well, we don't want to kill anything that has eyes, that's one thing. But if the rationale is that thou shall not kill, then that includes everything that's alive. And yes, that includes plants, that includes grass, that includes insects. That means you are only going to live off of air. but I don't think that is reasonable. That would be a reasonable position. So is it that we don't? Is it just that it's bad for us to eat this food, or do you think that there's a divine rule, or do you think that from like a spiritual perspective, it is really wrong to kill anything that has eyes and eat it?
Exactly, because I'm going to give you some examples. First of all, when we look at, I was saying for the plants, when you look at the plants, for example, if you want to eat an apple, the apple will not run away. But you look at any animals, any insect, even ants, if you want to kill it, they will try to get away from you because they want to live. But a fruit, when you eat that, that's the way for you to spread, to make it grow. You eat and you throw the seed, and another plant will grow.
Okay.
And when you look, for example,
I see how that makes sense for fruits. What about let's use a very specific example. Let's say something like let me think of something. What vegetable? So are you familiar with something like spinach? Okay, you know what spinach is, right?
Yeah.
So spinach is a vegetable that you can basically eat it with almost. You can make soup. You can put it on pizza. You can make even some of our African dishes with spinach. So my question to you is it right for you to end the life of that spinach in order to sustain yourself? Because I granted, I don't know if it has a nervous system, but is spinach alive? Yes. So why do you kill the spinach to eat?
No, because when you eat the spinach, because when we are here on Earth, we have to sustain life. We have to get the vital energy from another species.
Yeah.
And like I was saying, for example, if you look at even the spinach, but what my point is, they are alive. Yes, they are alive, but they don't have a nervous system to register the pain. And for example, when you look at in the Bible, in Genesis 1:29, God said to people that I give you fruit and vegetables to eat. He didn't say meat. He didn't say fish. He didn't say chicken. So when Adam and Eve were in the garden, or in the garden
of Eden,
they were not eating meat. They were only eat fruit and vegetables. And when so basically that's what when you were asking the question on a spiritual level, for example, when you want to eat an animal, okay, for example, the cows and all that, before they kill them, they know that they're going to die, and they go through a lot of trauma, a lot of negative emotions. They go through fear, they go through hatred, they go through
anger,
anxiety, anger, lots of all these emotions.
And yes, the meat that is toxic for you.
Exactly. And when you can't kill energy, so when they're about to die, they start releasing lots and lots of harmful chemicals with all this negative energy. And when we eat them, this energy will be passed on to us. And that's why you will see a lot of people live in fear, a lot of people live in anxiety, hatred, and all this anger and all these things. So this is the spiritual fact. And for example, you will see there was an experiment which were done when they were prisoners, when they were feeding them with vegetables, fruit and all that. Even in the prison, the violence were going down. But when they were giving them meat and all that, you can even see carnivores animals, they are very ferocious. But you look at animals who eat grass, they are very calm. And that's how we should be. That's how human beings should be. And even if when you look at, you compare human beings, you compare them with carnivores and with herbivores, you will see that most of the characteristics for human beings are like herbivores and not carnivores.
So, okay. So, but based on what I know, and I'm not saying that I'm right or I'm wrong, because I'm really open-minded. I'm really trying to rationalize your position here. Yeah. So let me think through this, okay? So I know that, for instance, in Cameroon, la tribu des Pygmies, the Pygmies of Central Africa, they are what I would describe as close as you can imagine a people that have seen civilization but are still living kind of as if there was no civilization. They're still living somewhat of a sedentary lifestyle, so they still live off the land, so to speak, right? And I don't know a single tribe, including the Pygmies, that doesn't practice hunting, that doesn't kill boars and roast the meat and eat the meat. So it seems a little bit unnatural that basically, and I'm not saying that this is your claim. First of all, is it right to say that your claim is that humans should not eat meat, point blank period? If that is what you're saying, then how do you explain the fact that not just in modern society like America or Europe or United Kingdom or London where you are, even when you go back to the tribes of the world, not just in Africa, around the world, you go to Mexico, you go to China, everybody's eating meat in some way, shape, or form. And those same tribes also eat vegetables. So it looks to me as though humans are omnivores, not necessarily herbivores. Now, at the same time, you could also hold, so two things could be true, right? Humans could truly be omnivores, but that could also mean that it could be a 90-10 ratio. So it's a 90% vegetarian, then 10%, meat, right? That could be the correct ratio. Maybe the problem is that instead of people eating like 10% meat and 90% vegetable, people are eating like, I don't know, 90% dairy product and vegetables and processed food, and then they're just eating a little bit of vegetables. That could be the problem too. So what do you think? Do you think is that the ratio of vegetable to animal products in our diet is wrong, or do you just think that the fact that we have animal products in our diet is actually wrong?
Yeah, personally, I think that having animal product, we are not designed to eat animal product. We are not designed to do that at all. Because even when you look at the digestive juices in our stomach, the hydrochloric acid, when you look, for example, for carnivores, it's 20 times stronger than us. 20 times. And when, for example, you look at the
herbivores,
what is it called? The kidneys of carnivores, they are very, very powerful, because when you eat meat, it gets transformed into uric acid, and that's why it gives people gout. But when you look at the kidneys of carnivores, are very, very powerful to get rid of that uric acid. So we are not designed to eat meat, not at all. And for example, even when you look at pygmies, yes, they do hunting, but they don't eat meat every day.
And that's why I made the point that maybe it's the ratio of protein to plant-based carbohydrates and vegetables and fibers. So maybe it's not that we're not supposed to eat meat. Maybe we're not supposed to eat this much. Maybe we're supposed to eat just about this much. That's what I'm thinking. That's what kind of makes more sense to me. But I'm not saying that I know or I'm right. I'm just saying that kind of comes across as okay. It will make sense because, well, maybe it's just because I like meat. I don't eat a whole lot of meat, but I do like meat. I will.
Yeah, I will give you an example why it is not. Even if you eat a little of meat, you will see why we are not designed to eat that. For example, when you eat a piece of fruit, it will take 3 to 4 hours to pass through your system. You eat raw vegetables, it will take around 12 hours to pass through your system. You eat cooked vegetables, it will take between 24 and 30 hours to pass through your system. But when you eat meat, fish, and chicken, it takes 3 days or 72 hours to pass through your system. And for example, when that's why, for example.
So how do you know this? How do you know this? How do you know that it takes? Because how do you know it takes 72 hours?
Research.
I've never really thought about it, but I'm not saying you're wrong. But how do you know about the timing? It sounds as though so. Raw vegetables.
It's called if you do your research, you tap the bowel transit time, you will see all these things. So it's something that it's not like
so it's common knowledge. It's not as So it's something that everybody just knows about it.
Yes. Okay. If you look, you will find that it's called the bowel transit time. Okay. And for example, that's why, for example, you will see that carnivores, they've got very short intestine because meat passes through the system very slowly. And herbivores and human beings have got very long intestine because fruit and vegetables pass through the system very quickly. And for example, if you take a piece of meat, you leave that outside for 3 days. when you come back after 3 days, that piece of meat will be in a rotting state. You will see maggot, flies, and it's going to stink. And when you look at the internal temperature of a human being, it's 36 degrees centigrade, which is hot. So when you eat meat, the same rotting process that you see outside, it's exactly what's happening inside our guts. It's the fish, the chicken will start rotting. And that's why you will see a lot of people smell bad, or they got bad breath. And when you look as well, you will see that meat, fish, chicken, they've got no fiber and they create constipation. And that's why you will see that there are people who spend 3 days, 4 days, even a week without going to the toilet. And when you are constipated, basically, your bloodstream, because you don't go to the toilet, all this fecal matter, all the toxin will be reabsorbed into your bloodstream. And that's why people start suffering from blood pressure, high blood pressure, diabetes, cancer, Alzheimer, Parkinson, arthritis, and all the autoimmune diseases where the body destroys itself, like the inflammatory bowel disease, the lupus, the psoriasis, the rheumatoid arthritis, and the list goes on and on. So basically, my point is, if you eat less meat, it's going to, your health will be better. So the less meat you eat, the better your health will be.
Okay, and I actually agree with that. I agree with that. That's what I also think. Intuitively, I would think that if you eat less meat, just not just intuitive, I know because I don't eat as much meat. And since I started, I changed my eating habits and, activity level about 5. I started in December of last year, and I've been keeping it to this day, and I've seen the change because I was able to measure my different aspects of my body, and I could see my muscle mass going up, the fat was going down. I did my blood work, and all the numbers are perfect. Blood pressure went, everything is like heading the right direction, just because I changed both my eating habits and my activity habits. So I became more active, going to the gym and so on and so forth. But I wanted to dwell on something a little bit. So you said that, and I agree with this, that the less meat you eat, the better it is. And I do understand that, it takes about 72 hours for meat to go through your system.
Yeah.
And you also said that if you leave meat outside for a few days, it rottens. So let me separate that. When it comes to leaving, in the example you said where you leave your meat outside and it rottens, that is true for vegetables and fruit as well. If you leave it outside, it's going to rotten too, right?
I will give you that's different. For example, if you leave apple outside, let's say apple, it's going to take maybe outside, maybe it's going to take a week, 10 days before the rotting process starts. Well, for meat, the rotting process starts immediately.
Okay.
Immediately.
So I agree with that, but I want to caveat the apple example. So first of all, the apple we're getting from the store here in America are not truly, I don't really call that real natural apple, right? In where I grew up in Cameroon, we had an apple tree, so I'm an expert at apples. I know exactly how apples grow. So it's actually a seasonal fruit. The real apples comes in season. It's not year round. The real natural apple tree comes just like mango. Mango actually comes during the season and then it goes away. That's how it should be. Yeah. So if you take a regular old apple that was grown naturally with no fertilizer, no bioengineering, you put it outside, yes, it's gonna decay in a few days as well. That's the first thing. Mangoes will do the same thing. If you take mango, because I grew up harvesting mango, so I know that if you leave mango outside, now granted, depending on how ripe the fruit is, because that's a factor. If the fruit is already ripe, you put it out there, oh yes, it's going to start decaying. With vegetables, it's the same thing. You know how we always have power outage in Africa? Like when you have food stuff, that's why people in Africa tend to keep things in freezers. Vegetables, meat, food, they don't use the fridge. We have fridges, but people tend to keep things in freezers just because they know that when the power goes away, it will take a longer time for that thing to thaw down. And by the time it thaws down and starts getting bad, maybe the power would have come back. And we just experienced this recently because in our house, my mother had harvested a whole bunch of vegetables that she kept in the freezer, and the power went away. The power was out for like 2-3 days, and by the time the power came back, the vegetable was bad. But that's vegetable that she harvested in the backyard. So, point being that vegetables and fruits would get bad probably just as fast as meat. That's the first thing, right? That's just what I think.
Can I just interrupt you to, if not, I'm going to forget here.
Sure.
The big difference is this. When you eat meat, what I'm saying is going to take 3 days in your gut. It's going to start rotting inside, okay? But when you eat fruit and vegetables, it will go very quickly in your system. It's not going to create a problem. You see, that's the main difference.
Okay, yes. I would agree with that. That makes perfect sense to me. Now, the other thing that I wanted to call out was the fact that I'm having a great part. So there's also vegetables and vegetable-based carbohydrates that will take just as long. A very good example is fufu. Water fufu from cassava, right? And this is something that I've known for a very, very long time. I was always told that, and when you eat it, you don't go to the bathroom. That thing takes at least 3 to 4 days to go through your system. But that's something that is carbohydrate that grew up in the ground. So if you take cassava, for instance, I don't know if it's true for plantains, but no, cassava, if you make it in the form of fufu and you eat it with vegetables, those vegetables will go through your system before that cassava goes through. So how do you contend with the fact that there are some vegetable foods as well that would take just as long, if not longer, than meat to process, to go through your digestive system?
I don't think that it's true. Why the problem is when, for example, you mixed meat and fufu, then that's create the problem. That's why it creates a problem. When you mix the protein, you mix the protein with the carbohydrates, like potatoes or fufu and stuff like that, then that will create a problem. But if you eat, for example, the fufu just with spinach, it's never going to create a problem. It's the way you mixed the food that's where it creates problems. So do experiment. If you eat just fufu, for example, with the cassava leaves, or just with spinach, it's not going to create a problem.
So I'm not going to say you're wrong. I'm just going to say I don't know and I have to figure it out. So
yeah, just try. The best way to do the experiment, do that yourself, and you will see.
It's to test it out.
Yeah, test yourself. You will see.
Yeah, it's to test it out. That's very interesting. So basically, in your view, just to kind of like box it out for the audience to understand what's going on here, you basically contend that, or you're arguing that meat, protein, animal-based protein, anything that has eyes, anything that has a nervous system should not be eaten.
Yeah.
For not just for two, I really think you're saying this for two reasons. One is that you think that it's wrong to kill, but second of all, you think that it's really not good for you. And so for those two reasons, you really think people shouldn't eat anything that has eyes or has a nervous system. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
Okay. And so let's switch up a little bit. So tell me a little bit about
what I can add as well is the third reason is when you eat, you stop eating meat. Basically, meat, processed food, dairy product. Basically, you're going to be able to reclaim your health, and you're not going to be sick
anymore.
Yeah, it's like me, for example, like I was just telling you at the beginning. People will say that, oh no, when you grow up, you need when you get old, you need to get sick. Your health need to get worse and worse. But I started this process when I was 46. Today I'm 54, and my health is getting better and better.
You feel better today than you felt 5 years ago.
Yes. For example, there's nothing that I cannot do now that I was able to do when I was 20. I'm 54 now, but I can still do all these things.
You can run track, you can lift weights.
I can everything. I can climb trees, I can do all these things. No problem.
Oh man, that's interesting. Okay. So let's spend some time talking about actual herbs and vegetables. So what kind of, so let's say if you have somebody that has listened to your message, right, and the person has said, you know what, let me give this a try. What are some of the things that practical like tips, if you want to do the transition in the way you did it, what are some tips or things that you think people need to start doing besides just stopping, kicking up all the dairy product, anything that has eyes or nervous system or that has blood or, anything that is alive in that way? Take that out of your diet. What then do you replace that with?
Yeah, so basically, first of all, what I would think, the way I went cold turkey, when I stopped straight away with all this food, I don't think that it's a good idea. Even in my coaching program, I don't ask people to stop like that. It's not
Properly. So you have to make it
the right way.
gradual.
Yes, gradually, so your body gets used to your change, and it's a lot better. So, for example,
so you think that's why yours was so acute because you did it so abruptly,
yes,
and your body
yes,
kind of like went into
yes,
shock and was trying to figure it out. Okay.
exactly. That's the reason I don't want people to go through that, because a lot of people, when they go to, they stop abruptly like that, they start having all these negative
And that
symptoms.
could be a signal that they will interpret badly,
Yes,
and maybe they will go back to where they used to.
exactly. They will say, no, this is what I'm doing is wrong.
This
They
is
will
making
stop.
worse, making it worse.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
I hear
That's
you.
why I ask people to go gradually,
Slowly.
not to stop
Okay.
directly. And for example, they can introduce very small changes. For example, in the morning, instead of eating like bread with salami, bacon, hot dog, sausages with eggs and all that, they can just swap that. They can just introduce fruit, for example, or they can eat oatmeal with plant-based milk, like soya milk or almond milk, with just some berries. Just to introduce small changes like that. And for example, in a week, we've got 7 days. For example, you can say, okay, for 2 days, I'm not going to eat meat. For 5 days, I will continue to eat that. And then after 2 weeks, you start eating meat for 4 days. For 3 days, you don't eat. You start introducing small changes like that. And for example, at night, instead of having a big meal, you can have maybe soup or salad. You just introduce small things like that. And over the days and months, you start building up and until you can really decrease all this bad food that people are eating.
So what is your take on meal prepping? Because most people would say they don't have time to cook, and therefore they are always, either they have to go to work, they're always busy, and so they don't have time to like pay attention to what they eat. Now that I know that's a completely different conversation. Your health should be your priority, but let's just leave that aside, right? Let's just say for people that will say, you know what, I'm always on the go, and so that's why I end up eating the pizzas, that's why I end up getting the sandwiches, that's why I end up what is, and I in my little mind I would think that meal prepping will be the solution. But what are your thoughts around meal prepping? Do you think that it's a good practice, or is it a bad practice, or does it depend on what you're prepping? What are your thoughts on meal preps?
Yeah, basically for me, I think meal prep is good, but what people can do is batch cooking. For example, because people keep saying that they don't have time. For example, Saturday and Sunday. For example, for Sunday, you can batch cook. You do the cooking for the whole week, and you put all these things, you put that in pots, and you keep that in your freezer. For example, that's a good idea that people can do. But when people as well, when they say that or they don't have time, the same people will spend 4 hours, 5 hours watching TV.
Or being on your phone.
Yes.
That's why I say,
or playing games and stuff like that. Yeah, so people need really to look at their priorities. If your priority, your health, you will find the time. It's just that people don't see that it's a priority for them.
And they don't understand the problem.
Yes, and they just want shortcuts, and they just say that don't. But if really you want to, your health is your priority, you will find the time. And like I've just said, maybe on Sunday, you just batch cook, and you keep all the food for the whole week, and you put that in freezers. And when you come back from work, you can just eat up the food and eat that.
Okay. So can you break down? So I know you have a coaching program / platform. Can you break down what your approach is, and how do you typically work with people? So for the audience listening, can you tell them first of all how to get in contact with you? And what are some of do you have social media? Do you have a website? How do people get hold of you? And what are some of the perks that your coaching program would provide for whoever decides they want to work with you?
Yeah. So first of all, I would like to give all your viewers or your listeners, I would like to give them a free gift, which is my 7 tips to lose weight. That's the exact 7 tips that I've used myself to be able to lose 77 pounds. So I will give you the link so they can download that for free. And,
break it down for us. Tell us what are the 7 tips. Let them hear it. I'm curious.
Yeah. So first of all, you need to start eating a lot of fruit and vegetables. And because of this food, they've got a lot of fiber. And because of that, they will make you full very quickly, and you will tend to eat less frequently.
Naturally.
People need to, one of the tips as well is to introduce intermittent fasting because in the society we've been told that we need to eat constantly. But what people need to understand is that your body will spend 80% of its energy to digest food. So if you are snacking all the time, you will not give your body the time to heal and cleanse, because the body can only heal and cleanse when it's not digesting food. That's why they need to introduce intermittent fasting as well. They need to start stopping eating after 7 p.m. or 8 p.m. Because when you pass 8 p.m.
I do that sometimes, but I try not to do it as often. So yes.
Yeah, when you pass 8 p.m., your metabolism starts to slow down. And your body will not be able to digest the food when you are sleeping. And all this, you are doing a disfavor to yourself, because the food will start fermenting or rotting, and this will create all sorts of health issues. Yes. People need as well to start exposing themselves to sunlight, because sunlight is very, very important. You need to have vitamin D. And vitamin D will basically control over 2,500 genes in your body. People need as well to be moving. I'm not necessarily asking people to go to the gym, but they need to be in movement, because when your system is in movement, your lymphatic system will be able to work properly. So this is something as well that people can do. And taking a regular trip to the park when they can breathe fresh air and all these things, because in our homes it's very toxic because of the wireless devices, the Wi-Fi, the electromagnetic frequencies, the perfume, deodorant, all these things are not good for the.
You feel like all those things are bad for you? What is the impact? What is the issue with Wi-Fi and perfume? What is wrong with those? Because I have Wi-Fi at home, and I have perfume. Do I cut off my Wi-Fi and just stop using perfume? What is your?
No, for example, what I do myself at home when I'm about to go to sleep, because obviously we have to do the Wi-Fi. We need the Wi-Fi. But what I try to do is that when I go to sleep, I stop the Wi-Fi. I stop that so I can have a better sleep. Because the Wi-Fi, there's lots of electromagnetic frequencies which interfere with us, with our system, and that's not good. And for example, for the perfume, they put lots of stuff like the aluminum. Aluminum is linked to Alzheimer. And they put stuff like, which is called the phthalate. And these will create lots of imbalance in your system. So for example,
you're recommending plant-based products? It's not that take it away. It's like use the versions that do not have those elements in it. Like if you use a healthier version of perfume or deodorant.
Yeah, so for example, for me, for maybe 5 years, I didn't even use the perfume. I completely stopped that. It's only now that I've been able to find some vegan perfume, which hasn't got these additional bad products like lead, like aluminum, like mercury and stuff like that. And I make sure that I don't put that in on my skin. I only put that on my clothes. There's no contact with my skin. So that's what people can do to basically.
So do you think this in addition to improving your quality of health, do you think that this could arguably allow you to live longer?
Yes, definitely, because if you are doing all these things, you will have a very strong immune system. And you will live longer, because like I've just said, for the past 8 years, I've not been sick a single day, not even the flu, nothing. Even when we had COVID and all that, I've not been sick. And basically, if you are not sick, you're going to live longer. Because obviously, for example, if you are involved in a car accident and stuff like that, you break your leg, yes, you need to go to the doctors, they will fix you. But if you want to avoid all the chronic diseases, basically you need to eat the right food, the food biologically designed for the human mechanism. You need to entertain positive emotions most of the time, because when you entertain negative emotions like anger, fear, jealousy, hatred, all these things will create an imbalance in your system. your body will start producing adrenaline and cortisol and in excess, and this will basically weaken your immune system. So you need to do that, and you need to control what you put on your skin and on your hair, because all the cosmetic products that people put on their skin and hair are very toxic. And that's why, for example, for me, I only put on my skin, on my hair, what I can eat. If I can't eat that stuff, no way it's going to go on my skin, on my hair.
It should not go on your hair.
Yes.
So even because my wife does have locks too, and there's just this one location she goes to, and we were just talking about the other day. She said a lot of times you go to people and they will put all kinds of crap in your hair. You know, they'll call it all kinds of names. They say they want to oil your scalp, but I think the only thing she uses is I think it's canola oil just to oil her scalp. I think that's the one thing she uses. And I don't know what else her loctician does, but she was saying something along those lines that there's a lot of product that people use on their hair, and some even take fake hair and put on their hair, and then put all kinds of crap just to make it look some type of way, not realizing that it's hurting you in ways that you cannot even see or even comprehend why you're doing it.
Exactly. That's why you will see, when you do a comparison, you will see that a lot of black women suffer from fibroids compared to white women, because black women, they put loads of crap in their hair, loads and loads and loads, and that's why a lot of them suffer from fibroids.
Oh wow, that's insane. So I have a little tradition that I have on the show, and every guest that I have leaves the question for the next guest, and then the question that was left from the previous guest, I'm going to ask you that question, and then I have a list of questions that I like to ask, and at the end, I also have a small poll that I like to take to see how people view the world and the universe and so on. So, first of all, what would be the question that you want me to ask the next person I talk to? Do you have a question for my next guest? Just anything that you want, you think I should ask. The person that you don't know who that is, the next guest doesn't know you. Just give me a question that you think I should ask the next person. And I'm writing it down, by the way.
Yeah. Great question.
And it doesn't matter. Anything you're just curious about.
How is the spiritual life?
Okay. How is your spiritual life?
Yes.
Okay. It's your spiritual life. All right. Let me ask you. I'm going to start by asking you the question that was left by the previous guest. So the previous guest, here's the question that he left for you. The question is, how are you going to make this better? And I think what he was asking, we were talking about the earth and humans and human beings living together on the earth. So the question he's asking is, how are you going to make this better? If you could make the world a better place, how are you going to do it?
Yeah, so the way that I'm trying to make the world better is to make people understand that they don't have to be sick. Being sick is a choice. It's possible to live a disease-free life. We don't have to be sick, because the body, the way it has been constructed by our creator, is to basically be in good health most of the time. It's like the example that you were giving. We look at animals in the forest. Basically, they follow the laws of nature. And that's why over there, they've got no vet, and they are living peacefully, unless maybe they are wounded by an attack by another animal. But most of the time, they live peacefully. They don't have any problem at all. But for us human beings, we are very, very sick. And that the message that I'm trying to get people is to let them know that we don't have to be sick. If we basically follow the laws of nature, we eat the food biologically designed for the human mechanism, we control our thoughts, we try to entertain positive emotions most of the time, we control what we put on our skin, on our hair, and all these things will make us basically live a disease-free life. And that's how I would like to make the world a better place.
Okay, that's a beautiful response. So the next question is the question that I have from my wife. I ask every guest this question. This is the question that I got from her. She wants me to ask all my guests this question. So the question is, what would you tell your younger self, and why? I mean, if you could travel back in time and meet a younger Olivier, what would you tell him? 20 years
Yeah.
ago, or if you go back 30 years and you meet yourself, what would you tell yourself?
Yes, I will tell myself to change my lifestyle, because this has had a very tremendous effect on the person I am now. I've learned a lot of things, living now my life very peacefully. I've been able to find my life purpose, and my life purpose is to be able to help people. And I think if I was able to change my lifestyle before, I would have been able to do that earlier. Achieve more and all these things. So basically, that's really what I would have told my younger self, to change the lifestyle to really empower people.
Okay, then the next two questions are my favorite questions to ask. By the way, I love these questions. So, first question is, what makes us human? What makes you human? What makes me human?
What makes us human?
Animals. Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, what makes us human? It's because we have the intellect, we have our spirituality, which is completely different from animals. The animals, they've got a physical body just like us, they've got emotions just like us, but the big difference is the spirituality, the intellect, that makes us very completely different from animal beings. For example, we are able to know that there's a creator. We are able to project our life in the future. We are able to see the mistake that we made in the past and try to fix all these things. And I would imagine that all this makes us human beings.
Human. Okay. Now, this is my favorite question. What is your philosophy of life, and why do you believe it?
My philosophy of life is that we need to not to do. Basically, it's the golden rule. Don't do to people what you don't want people to do to you.
Ooh,
I think if we were able to live a life, everyone had to do like this, I would imagine that there would be no crime. People, you could go leave your house open, no one will steal. So basically, the golden rule: don't do to people what you don't want people to do to you. If everyone has to apply that, this world will be a better place to live.
Okay. Now I'm going to give you a list of things. So I'm going to run a quick poll here. So I'm going to give you a list of things. What I want you to do is to classify these things from top to bottom, what you view as the most important thing and what you view as the least important thing. And the metric here is to figure out how that's going to impact humanity over the next 20, 25, 50 to 100 years. Like, say, project yourself 100 years from now. Of these things I'm going to list, what do you think is going to have the most, is going to change the face of society the most, so to speak, right? So the first thing here is going to be robo-taxis. I don't know if you're familiar with robo-taxis, but you may or may not have them out there, but it's like, here in the US, well, depending on what state you're in, you have like these companies like, Waymo, and you have Tesla. They have these cars that are like that. They're going to be autonomous cars where you can just get in, it takes you to where you're going, and then it's going to be on its way. So robotaxis, you have robotaxis, you have humanoid robots. Humanoid robots are like robots that have arms and legs, that can do things, that can talk to you, they can, do things with their hands, just like you and I can do things, right? That's another thing. Then we'll have energy, and then we'll have medicine. So of these four things that I've listed, what do you think is going to have the most significant impact on the face of humanity and society over the next 100 years?
I think I would imagine it's the first one. The first
energy?
one, because the robotaxi.
Okay, robotaxi.
Yeah,
okay.
I think it will have the most impact, because the way personally for me, it would appear to be something which is good, but what I'm trying to say is that they're going to replace people's job, and I don't think that it's necessarily something good. And I don't know, from the research that I've done, it's like they want to do the universal income, where they put people at home and they just give them the income and they stay at home, and that's what they're trying to do. That's what they're trying to do.
Yeah. I've heard that too before, and I have some opinions, some strong opinions around that, but I'm going to leave that alone. But carry on.
Yeah. So I think that would be the
Okay, so robotaxis is first. What's your number two? Is it gonna be what's the second most impactful one? Would it be humanoid robots or
humanoid robot?
Okay, humanoid robot, and then number three, would that be energy or medicine?
Medicine.
Medicine. So
Yes.
energy is last on your list. Like energy, and when I say energy, I'm talking like electricity, energy to do stuff around. Be it nuclear energy, solar energy. Like I don't know how do you call it? Chemical energy. Like so, I'm trying to get a sense of what do you think is going to be the most impactful. So are you saying that?
No, I would say the energy will be the medicine will be last.
Medicine will be last. Okay, so you have robotaxis, humanoid robot, and then you have energy and then medicine.
Yes,
medicine. Oh, okay. Well, that's very interesting. I've been running this poll now, and it's okay. A lot of people have different opinions. This is very interesting. Nobody, but somebody, I think one other guest that I've had did the same order you did. Somebody did exactly robotaxis, thing was humanoid, and then medicine and energy. But most of my guests actually are putting energy first. So you're one of the rare ones that think robotaxis. And I myself, I thought I knew what was, but after listening to so many people, I'm like, wait, maybe it's not that obvious to me. So, anyways,
yeah.
So for people that want to get in contact with you, that want to follow up on this conversation, and I'm going to provide all the links in the description below. So for my listeners, go ahead and check out the description if you want to follow Olivier or if you want to go to his website or find out more. But just call it out for the people. So how do people get hold of you? If people want to reach out, what are the channels, your social media, your handles? And if you have a website, can you just call that out for everybody?
Yes. So basically, like you asked me, if people would like to go on my coaching program, I've got a 16-week one-on-one coaching program where people can where people can go on it. And basically, the way they do that is that they will have to go on my website. And on my website, which is oliviermankondo.com, that's oliviermankondo.com, they just go on it and they will be able to set up a discovery call, weight loss and wellness discovery call. So on this call, they will be able to explore their goals, their priority, and their health concern. And we will also discuss the diet history, and we will look at the current lifestyle, including their routine and their habits. And we will work together to identify any limitations so that we can create a plan of action that overcome all these limitations and set them on the path toward achieving the short and long-term goals. So basically, that's what we're going to do that on that call. And on the call as well, we're going to establish if it is a good fit. And if that's the case, then there will be an opportunity for them to work, for us to work together so that we can fix all these issues that have been troubling them for a very long time. So that's what they can do. And basically, I've got as well my book, which is the plant-based nutrition, how it's going to change your life. They can go on Amazon, they can get that. Or if they want, they can go on my website. They will be able to get that with 4 gifts as well, 4 free gifts that they can have. So basically, if people want to get hold of me, they just go on my website and they will have all these things.
Okay, sweet. I have one last final question that just came to mind. What are some of the most common, so I don't know how many clients you've worked with, but just based on what you've seen, right? So what are some of the most common pitfalls? What are some of the things that when people either start on your program or people start to get on that journey to try to lose weight and get healthy, what are some of the most common things, challenges that people are going to run into? So maybe calling that out is going to help you. So when you see it, you're not surprised. You just say, okay, this happens, I'm going to overcome it. What are some of those most common pitfalls?
Yeah, the common pitfall that I've seen, it's the mindset. People that don't have the right mindset. So when they come on this journey, as soon as they start, they already put themselves in the place and say that it's going to be difficult. To stop eating meat, to do this, it's going to be difficult. And as soon as they say that, they already put a limitation and it becomes very difficult for them to continue. For example, I had a woman who she started, and after a month, she just vanished. I didn't see her anymore. And all this is because of the mindset. They don't have the right mindset. And basically, for people to be able to overcome that, they need to have a bigger why. Because for me, for example, my why was the way that I was feeling. I was not feeling well. My health was pretty bad. All these things I was thinking, oh, yes, especially when I had to go to the hospital because my blood pressure went through the roof. I thought maybe I'm going to die. I've got small kids. Wow. I need to see them. And all this, I said, no. I need to change my lifestyle. And that's what people need to do. They need to have a bigger why, and they need to change their mindset. They need to understand that if they want something and they put their mind into it and they really desire that change, it's going to be easier. And that's what people need to do. So the problem, the pitfall is they don't have the right mindset. They think that it's going to be difficult. And yes, it becomes difficult because that's what they want.
Okay. Yeah, I have a whole bunch of questions that I wanted to go through, but I know we're at the top of the hour. Maybe we'll organize another round. I think we might need a round 2 of this conversation to spend time talking about different kinds of foods and different kinds of vegetables. And I know you have a book out, and I haven't read the book, but full disclosure, I'm actually gonna take a look at that as soon as I get off this call and try to get more acquainted with you. But I've really enjoyed this conversation. I don't know about you, but it's been great. And thank you for coming on, because you've taught me a few things. You've given me a few things to think about, because you know how, and this is the whole point of having this conversation, because everybody in their little head, in their little mind, think they figured it out. Like, I know this, I know that. But do you really understand what's going on? Do you really know? Like, I spoke to a guy. The guy was he was a diabetic patient, and he was able to basically reverse. I think he was type 1 diabetes, where he wasn't producing enough insulin, right? So I think it was type 1, which is different from type 2, which is insulin resistant.
Yeah.
So he was talking about, and because my father is also diabetic, I thought I understood how diabetes works, but I really didn't. It's after talking to this guy that I really was able to put my finger, just like how you described it, you know, how the meat takes too long, and therefore, even if it does digest, then your body ends up absorbing the wrong thing, which then causes more issues around your health. And so I really enjoy having this conversation, because speaking to somebody that has been through it, this is why they say experience is the best teacher, because if you talk to somebody that has the actual experience, then they know what actually happened, and you can't beat that. There's no way. I mean, you have the knowledge, you've experienced it, and you have the information. So thank you very much for taking the time today. But I think we're gonna do a round 2, because I do have to follow. I have to go do my homework and come back and throw these ideas at you and see what I get back. But thank you for taking the time, man. I really appreciate it. And any last comments, thoughts, comments, or concerns for the public?
Yes. Basically, first of all, I would like to say as well, thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to be on your platform so that I can share my message, because I was understand that being sick is a choice, and they don't necessarily have to be sick. Even if they get older and older, they can still maintain a good lifestyle. And what I want to tell people as well is that when we are born on this earth, the most important thing that we have is our body. It's our temple, and we've only got one. So we need to make sure that we are in good health so that we can have a longer and fruitful life. So that's my last word.
Absolutely. Well, Olivier, merci beaucoup d'avoir pris le temps de vous asseoir avec moi et de causer. Vraiment, j'apprécie votre temps et la sagesse que vous avez partagée aujourd'hui. On va se la refaire en round 2. Round 2 will make a lot of sense, and I'm very, very excited. But you've given me a lot of things to think about. Now I have to go figure out if there are things that I could change. Because when you were giving those 7 tips, I kept checking my boxes, like, okay, I've done, I've done the intermittent fasting. I've picked up a little bit more vegetables and protein as opposed to carbohydrates, because I figured someone like me, when I eat a lot of carbs, I guess it just blows me up. Anyways, but there's a lot of things that you said that makes sense that I'm already doing, and so I can relate. I can relate to that, even though I'm not doing everything that you said. But there are some key things that was like, okay, yeah, that makes sense because I'm already doing that. I'm already seeing the result of what happens when you do that. When you cut sugar out, for instance, that was a big one for me. Like cutting sugar out, just that one thing would transform your body. You wouldn't feel as bad as you're feeling now. So I take a lot of heed to what you said, and I think there's some truth to what you're saying. And I think the world needs to hear this message. So thank you very much for coming on here and spend some time with me. And link in the description. If you enjoyed this conversation, go ahead and click subscribe and comment, share. It's awesome. Thank you all for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one. Bye bye.
Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you. Bye bye.
Right.
Bye.